Guys, it's your girl Matt Cox from A Couture Crafting. I am your quilty BFF, and we are doing another 3-yard quilt. This is going to be our first holiday quilt of the season. We are using the Magic of 3-Yard Quilts book, and we're going to do the Fascination Pattern, this pattern right here. It's going to be a really fast, fun pattern. I've done a similar pattern, maybe a couple of similar patterns, but I wanted to tackle this one. I really wanted to showcase this fabric right here with the toy soldiers. It's officially holiday season on Friday in the parks. So let's go on ahead and jump on the Disney bandwagon and jump into our holiday spirit, showcasing these fabrics and with this 3-yard quilt. Stay tuned. Because this fabric is somewhat linear, and then I can see, I kind of want this to be straight. I do, not kind of, I do want this to be straight. I don't want my little men all wonky. So I've done a pretty good job of lining this up front to back and making sure that it's straight so that my little men aren't all crazy and wonky, because that would just be weird. Is it weird that I'm thinking about the quilting already? And I haven't really been showing finished quilts, and I don't know that I'm going to finish this one. But I guarantee you I want blue thread on this, which probably sounds very strange to you all, but that's what I want, is blue thread for quilting on this guy. So nothing really to worry about other than I want him to be straight. So I'm going to go on ahead, and this, it's going to be so fast cutting out this quilt because there's really just not much to it. There are two separate blocks. There are 3 blocks, and one of the blocks is just a huge strip. So let's do that. So I've done all of my cuts, and one of the things that I'm going to try to do is keep these in order. So the blocks show 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to keep them in order. It's just going to keep your eye kind of going continuously. It's not going to be super chopped up. If I start to mix these up, it looks weird. I don't know why. So this is the 4th one, and then I've got them all laid out. Now I'm going to subcut these into the width that I need. The way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to turn this guy on its side here. And this is not perfectly straight because the fabric was not perfectly straight, but I'm okay with it. See? See the heads? This was really close to the eyes. This one isn't. It's okay. It's still straight-ish, straight enough. So now I'm going to cut off what I need here. For my fabric 2, it's actually going to be the blue, not the other one, because I want to showcase the other fabric in the blocks. So I'm just whipping this out. I have not pressed this. I should, but I have not. And we are just going to freshen it up. Maybe I will give it a little press really quickly. I wish I had purchased just a little bit more of this fabric for binding. So this is enough to do the economy style binding. I like to do a little bit more, which requires a 1/2 yard, not the 1/4 yard that it requires to do their style binding. I might fix that. So our last fabric, number 3, is going to be the baubles. But as you can see, it's a directional print. I've decided that I don't care. We are going to let it bobble and bump and do whatever kind of direction it wants to do, except for in the box. In the box, we want just to showcase the baubles. I was not paying attention, so I cut my strip, and I thought I was cutting it into squares like the other ones. However, that is incorrect. I was actually supposed to just cut it in one long strip and then subcut. So I had to sew the pieces back together. And I did. However, I sewed the wrong one to the wrong spot. And so this one should have been over here and blah, blah, blah. It will be fine. It will blend. Do not freak out. And I have enough length to do the strip set the width. So don't worry. Yes, it's got a little break here. We're just going to let go and move on. So this is what we have. We have some squares that are larger in this color, and then we have this long strip. We have our beautiful focal strip here. We have some border pieces, and then we have some bordering for the block pieces. So let's go on ahead and figure out our next step and move on. First step is to grab the larger squares, and we're going to make a bunch of half square triangles. You guys know forever I was a block lock girl, but it looks like we are going to be the trimmer girl today because I want this to move quickly. So it says to grab fabric number 2 and draw a line corner to corner. This fabric is kind of dark. I know that this is printed fabric and it's white on the other side. It's not going to kill me to draw the line on the back of this fabric. I'm going to grab a friction pin, if I can find one. And we're just going to draw a diagonal angle from corner to corner. I'm going to put this right sides together. This has a right side. I don't know if you guys can see it, but one side is paisley and the other side is not. We're going to put these right sides together, and I'm going to sew on either side of that line, doing a scant or less than a scant 1/4 inch on either side. I cut way more than I needed, but now I have them laid out in spots of sets of 4. And I'm going to chain piece all these, so this isn't going to take me very long at all. Tripped out. I didn't see this tool. This is going to be my thread cutter. Everybody has these. You just take an old blade and put it in the center, and then you just put this little guy on here where it clicks. Take this, stick this down in the middle, watch your fingers, and now we can cut these apart. Put it so that the blade is up. And this is what it looks like. And now we just quickly cut these apart. Chain piecing just helps everything go by so quickly. And I'm just going where the thread is and quickly cutting these apart. Now I'm going to grab my Quilter Select ruler. I like them because they don't move. They're the best rulers on the market. I'm going to put them on that diagonal line, and I am going to cut all of these triangles apart. You all have been telling me about slotted trimmers forever, and I bought a bunch of them, but I bought these really weird, funky sizes because I didn't start off with A and B. I don't know why, it just happened that way. But now I have the A and the B set. It comes on this with 2 of these rulers. And you will need the trimmer A for this. You're going to grab your half square triangles that you have just cut apart. You are going to line them up with the center on the center and this dash line on the dash line. Then you're going to trim away the excess. Then you are going to put it inside this little slot right here. And trim off the dog ears. All the excess. Then you're going to take your little half square triangle, and I like to use this wood iron first. It just makes sure that I don't burn myself and try to use my actual hand when I need to open up that seam. And we're going to press all these seams open. And then we have a perfectly trimmed half square triangle ready to go. I fought these really hard, but I think that these are faster than the block lock. So you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. I'll do it one more time. I'm just grabbing a sewn triangle. I'm going to put this dotted line on the sewn line. I'm going to line this up center with the back triangle, not the front. If it's a little off, line it up with the back. And so and there we have it. Then grab your pressing mat, open this up. I'm going to use this wood iron just to open up these seams really well. And then I'm going to come in with some heat and press. And again, perfect half square triangle. Now we are going to move on to the next part of the block. So we're going to take all of our half square triangles. Now remember, this is fabric 3, and so you want fabric 3 just like this. And when they kiss, when they come together, you want them to shoot out to the corners just like that. So I'm going to put these right sides together, and I have just chain stitched all of these in the exact same way. We'll cut those apart after you sew it just like this down this side. Now, you know, I love to press to a side, and this is one of those times when I could. However, when you're doing these half square triangles and you have so much bulk coming together, I think it's probably best that we just open these up, which is fine. So I'm just going to open those up and iron them open. And we are making little flying geese units here. And this is what you want. That looks pretty good. Let's open up another one. Open this up here and press it. And we will have some flying geese units. I did not try to control the direction of this. I just let it happen. It's going to make some beautiful blue stars once we put a few of these together, and that'll be that block. So let me cut these apart and then turn them all into flying geese units. Units that look like this. These are also called flying geese with this. Whenever you see this triangle here, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but we've done it by putting two half square triangles together. We need to make this quilt block right here. And so I think the best way to do that is you're going to make a bunch of these units. Now, I'm not really worried about what's here in the direction of the fabrics and all that. I'm just letting go of this being a directional print for this particular block. I think it'll blend fine. It's super chopped up, not a problem. But you can make a bunch of these units right here. Just like this. Just make a bunch, just make all your units like this, because this can be used on this side or this side. It doesn't matter. The unit is the exact same. You just point it to make sure that your arrow is pointing towards your square in the center. And then after you do that, you take these and sew this here, and you're cooking with gas. You will have your block in no time. Whenever I can, one of the reasons why I move so quickly through quilts is because I chain piece. Look at how this one's chain pieced. It's just all the pieces. So I sewed one side on to these, right? I sewed one side and then I came back and sewed the other side. And now they're all chain piece, so we just break them apart like we did before. It really does save you time, and I'm kind of regimented that way. That's how I'm just assembly line. I move through quilts so quickly. is because I break it down into sections and just move through that section, then move on through the other one. I don't know. Tell me if you guys do that. Tell me if you guys break it down like that. I know some people make the entire block before doing the quilt, or they will go through and make the blocks individually. And I get that on some, because you want to change and customize, and you might be doing something a little less traditional, which I totally get. But let me know. I'm curious to know if you guys assembly line sew the way I do. So we have just finished our star block, and it came out looking pretty good. Star block looks good. I like it. We're going to move on to the next block, which should be incredibly simple. You're just going to take this and put this right sides together and sew down the side. And then we'll take this side and sew this down so that we are doing a strip set. Because I have already trimmed the salvages off of that, I'm going to trim the salvages off of this just so that when we start, and I'm going to start on the same side because I want to preserve as much fabric as we can, since I've already messed up that piece. So I'm just going to take the salvages off of this guy because there's no salvages on that. And then we're going to start on the same side when we sew. So we have this strip all nice and pieced, and now we need to make some subcuts from it. And so I am just going to take my favorite ruler here and try to line it up the best I can. And try to be sure that everything is nice and straight. And I'm trying to line this row up with this right here, and it looks good. And then we will start cutting down. So it has been many days since we've started this, and we are now here. This is where we are. We've cut down our strips. We've got our stars here, and we need to finish the rest of this. So I'm going to grab the strips that go with this, and we are going to sew them onto one side and then cut it and then sew them onto the other side. Yes, I was correct. We are going to just fall in line with this guy right here. And I'm going to take off the selvage of one side. And then we will sew down one side and then sew down the other. I'm going to sew this down on this side, and then I'm going to cut it off. Now that we have sewn down this side, like I said, I'm just going to take it, line it up, and just cut it off, even with the block. Press that side back. Now I'm going to lay this down on the machine like this and sew this on this side. Now here comes the fun part. You're going to grab 3 of these or 3 of these, and you're just going to go every other. So one might go this way. Then the next one is going to go here. Then this one will go here. And this one will go here. And like I said, it's just every other in a whole row. Very, very simple. You just sew one to the next. And then after you do that, you are going to take one of your strips. And again, I think you should do them in order. Find the first one, and then you will lay that out and sew that to that until you're all finished, and then put a border on. I think I'm going to go live and start sewing this together. And so you'll be able to see me actually construct the entire quilt And then I will come together at the end and show you pictures of what this looks like all done. But this is super fast, super cute, super Christmas, and I'm really digging it. So now that the innards are all complete, for the border, you sew all your border strips end to end, straight across. You just sew them end to end like you would anything else. Then you measure the border to the fabric. Now this already has the side borders already on there. So I measured the sides first. I took the strip and laid it out, and then I marked it, and then I sewed that on. Then I went ahead and did the same thing to the other side. Cut your border completely and then sew it on. Do not just take your whole roll and sew it down the side if you want a quilt that does not have ripply borders. It's just one of the tips and tricks to making 3-yard quilts look really clean and pristine. So what I do is I lay it out. This one's a little long, so I'm going to show it at a diagonal angle, which gives me a little bit more space. I lay it out, then I take the strip and I lay the strip on top of the fabric, and I measure it all the way to the end, and then I mark it with a pin, then I cut it, then I pin this on, and then we go on ahead and sew it on. It's just the best way to get an accurate. Now, I do this at my ironing board. I don't do it at my cutting table because my ironing board is longer. But that's the gist of it. You sew all your strips together. You put the border on top of the fabric, measure it, mark it, cut it, then pin it. And you won't have borders that are super wrinkly and ripply. If you would like to see me sew this whole quilt together, take this video, and I did 2 lives of me sewing it. So that way you can actually see the innards being sewn and everything. You can totally see how I sewed it all together, because I did it live twice. And now we are just finishing it up with this last border strip.